Here we are in basic food chemistry. This course is going to give you a little bit of the chemistry side of food. There's going to be some things that will be very intensive when it comes to some chemicals and some chemical formulas, so don't let those really bother you too much. Just understand the key points. So we're going to talk about the 6 basic nutrients and then kind of explain their role within food. So the first kind of start out, we got to look at where a lot of not only food for humans comes, but also for animals, and that's from plants. So we got to understand the concept of photosynthesis. So what is photosynthesis? If you really look, it's kind of the basic energy source of the world that every plant, for the most part, is going to use this to produce their own food using certain elements that are available to them. So realistically, it's a series of reactions that occurs, and it's going to take very low energy substances, things like carbon dioxide and water, and it's going to be able to convert that into sugar. So a lot of chemical reactions have, a catalyst or something coming into the reaction, something coming out. In this case, in the photosynthesis reaction, that catalyst is going to be chlorophyll. So if you've been in maybe some other classes, you talk about like fungi or microscopic plants that do not contain chlorophyll, which means they don't make their own food. But a plant that does contain chlorophyll, so a vegetable or fruit, something like that, that is, again, that catalyst or the agent that converts that carbon dioxide and water into sugar itself. So it's a green pigment you find in plants, and it also converts energy in the reaction itself from sunlight to actually produce that sugar, which is actually going to be glucose. So it not only upper forms of plants do this, but also lower forms do it as well. So all forms of life that carry on photosynthesis, with the exception of bacteria and again fungi, make the use of water as basically the hydrogen or the electron donor to reduce carbon dioxide, which is the electron acceptor. So it's all about, when you get into chemistry, about moving electrons around, whether we're talking about chlorophyll or the opposite type of reaction, which would be oxidation. So where do you find chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is actually contained in the plant part known as the chloroplast. So varying types of complex structures, several different sizes, but basically that chlorophyll contained within those chloroplasts is a lipoprotein complex, and that's how it's stored or contained as such. So that's really important in the reaction because it helps absorb the light, that lipoprotein layer, and of course it helps absorb that energy that's used for the reaction as well. So very, very good chemical component that really aids in the whole reaction. And this just shows you just a chemical makeup of chlorophyll itself. You can see it's a pretty complex structure overall, but that is what it looks like chemically. So this is the reaction of photosynthesis. It is not balanced. In fact, I'll probably draw that on here, but basically the plant is going to take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, then use water and energy from the sun, with obviously what's missing is the chlorophyll, again, which would come in here. And then it's going to yield glucose, C6H12O6. So basically represents any organic matter that's in plants. And then they release oxygen, which then of course we in humans would use for opposite of this reaction is respiration. That basically we take an oxygen, we use that sugar on the backside and create energy, and then water and release carbon dioxide. Okay. To actually make this balance, you need to see that there are 6 carbons here. Okay. And there's only one over here. So now it actually takes 6 carbon dioxides. Okay. So that would now make 12, 13, but we've got 8. So I believe this is 18 and 18. So again, it actually takes 6 carbon dioxides plus 6 water if you actually balance the equation out. So do we have 12 H's? 6 times 2 is 12. Yep. So we got 6 oxygen here and we've got 12 of them there. That makes 18. So now it's a balanced equation. So again, it's something about chemistry is looking at them and say, okay, do they have the equal number of carbons, oxygens, et cetera, et cetera. And in this case, now it's a balanced equation. So how photosynthesis really works, if you look at the cellular level, it's going to take in that light and through a process called photophosphorylation that actually converts that water into oxygen. And then there's going to be a release and then kind of an exchange of certain things. One is going to have ATP, which is energy, adenosine triphosphate going out, NADPH going out. Coming back in is going to be single elemental phosphorus as well as ADP. So diphosphate plus the phosphorus is really the same thing. And then it's going to use something called the Calvin-Benson cycle. And basically through all that, we'll get the end result of sugar. So it's a very short, chapter to kind of understand the basics of photosynthesis. So you can also search for these things online, but you can also click on the video link and watch that video of photosynthesis, which is basically a light reaction. So that concludes first part of chapter 1, and you can move on to second part of chapter 1.